Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. With all the roster drama of the last several days, Crimsix is still as it presently stands without a team rumoured here in the CDL. What exactly is this the case? FormaL has a few thoughts on that, but also Crimsix saying that many of the teams being formed in the league right now are actually not good at all, and he might be able to improve a significant number of them if the teams actually decided to give him one more chance. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Bottom right hand corner, hit the button, love to see it. Let's crack straight on with things. Firstly, this from Shotzzy, like this is honestly kind of mind blowing. I don't really see anyone use this at the World Championship. Maybe it's considered a pixel walk or something, but I mean, yeah, look at this jump spot that Shotzzy finds here on this thing, jump across to this thing, and I guess technically he is kind of on a ledge, so is this an unintended line of sight? I guess that's a bit of a question mark, but the OpTic guys never really seemed to like this map, so didn't really play it all that much at the World Championship regardless. This also I thought was pretty cool. There's a local tournament going on, you know, the Bell Esports Challenge, I guess, yeah, Toronto type stuff, because Bell sponsored the Toronto Ultra, I guess they still do. And even as Exotic says, why is our local event stage better than any Challengers event stage? Yeah, just looking at this compared to what the Challengers World Championship was, it's kind of a night and day difference, unfortunately. Let's just dive straight into the Crimsix stuff, because there's been a lot going on with Crim the last few days, and we haven't really got too much chance to cover it really recently, because, like, you know, we've had so much else to talk about. But Crimsix is in a difficult spot right now. It seems incredibly difficult for Crim, as it presently stands, for him to get a spot back in the league. And of course, many would have their thoughts on why that might be the case. Of course, the bridges that have been burned the last few years haven't been ideal, but I still thought that this year Crim would, like, find a spot somewhere. Yes, it's not going to be on the New York subliners, and Crim has kind of made it clear that if he has to retire, like, you know, that's okay. He talked a few days ago about, like, you know, he wants to take care of his health, he wants to take care of his wife, right? Because, like, you know, the super stressful days that he had playing on the New York subliners this year were taking a toll on his personal health, which is really suffering, and also on, like, his relationship with his wife. So there's a few reasons why Crim doesn't want to be in a particularly stressful environment. He doesn't want to go through a New York subliners situation again, and even if he has to join a team with younger guys where he has to be the mentor, he has to be the leader, he has to teach them everything, they might make a load of mistakes. Like, does Crim really want to do that at this point of his career? Like, I think, look, if he gets an offer to join OpTic and play with, you know, Scump and aBeZy and stuff like this, and Shotzzy, like, yeah, let's say they did drop Dashy and brought Crim in instead, he's obviously going to take that opportunity. But any opportunity that isn't like that with more veteran players, and of course he values himself highly as well in terms of how much he thinks he should be paid. He said last year he got paid about 380 grand to be on the New York subliners, and reckon he was getting pretty undersold given what he does for the brand. Some players would be like, what are you talking about, mate? But look, if those are the standards that Crimsix is setting for himself to get paid, then it's going to be difficult to find an organization that's going to want him. But the funny thing is really that, like, even with these kind of demands that Crimsix might have, and the reasons why he might turn down organizations, certain organizations like Vegas or something, he might not have any offers anyway, right? As he says in this clip here that his agent was reaching out to people, trying to get involved, and yeah, seemingly no one wants him at all. And as it presently stands, there's no way Crimsix is going to be joining a team next season, and he's not going to go through challenges, so that means retirement is on the cards.
My agent reached out to everybody and no one wants me. No one. It is weird because I get thrown as unrestricted, and then all of a sudden no one wants me. So I wonder if they knew that no one was going to want me before they knocked me as unrestricted. Because that move right there, I was sitting there when I was told that, I was like, what the f? Okay. Surge would be one of the only teams I would join. Actually, dude, someone's lurking, bro. I would tell you guys just because you're up late at night with me, but you know TacticalRab? He's literally got 20 monitors up. All these streams. I was going to type it in chat, but it would have got screenshotted.
Now, of course, many have their thoughts, and understandably so, on exactly why this is the case. And, you know, as FormaL said about Crimsix on kind of the new exclusive element of one of the podcasts recently, saying, like, look, Crim needs to stop burning all these bridges. He's running out of bridges to burn. Like, you know, the Hydra thing, the last couple of years, the Shotzzy, the Illy thing. Of course, Illy, I think they still get on okay. But, yeah, Shotzzy and even Rambo, right, I think was kind of the big bridge to be burned, because Rambo definitely seemed to be at the end of his kind of Dallas Empire tenure, was not happy with Crimsix, and was probably quite pivotal in actually well, forcing Crimsix off of that team, because Crim even said, I believe last night or a couple of days ago on stream, he did like this 24-hour shenanigans, but like he said that the OpTic Texas situation when the merger was going down, it was meant to be Crim, but the OpTic guys, like I think maybe Shotzzy, but probably Rambo was involved in this as well, effectively vetoed Crimsix coming along and keeping Dashy, because I think it was meant to be Crimsix, Shotzzy and Illy plus Scump. That was meant to be the team of 4, but then they decided to drop Crim and get Dashy in, which you could argue has worked out in their favor, but then Crim goes to New York and then, you know, manages to burn some new bridges over there, not just with the players, but also with the organization, right? Like the org is not going to want to go anywhere near Crim anymore either, given everything that was coming out from Crim. So it's obviously not ideal for him. Like, look, at this point, he's got to the point in his career where there really are no players that, well, it's not just the players, right? There are still players that want to team with Crim, but like, it's probably organizations just don't want to take that level of risk and also don't necessarily have the money to spend to pay Crimsix's salary. But it's also a question that I would ask, because regardless of what you think about Crim and the fact that, okay, maybe the Roosters or the Chickens, I suppose, have come home to roost, or however you're meant to say it, like, he's kind of, you know, he's just deserved to finally come around, you could argue, after several years of what he's been up to in his career, the last few titles. But at the end of the day, Crimsix is a winner, right? Even on a pretty dysfunctional New York team last season, and okay, yeah, then again, maybe he was obviously a big part of why that team might have been dysfunctional, but even last season on a team that, yes, there's talent on there, okay, Kismet, Porlex, Hydra, Crimsix, it's not the craziest squad on paper. They still made 2 grand finals, they still won an event, they still made a Cinderella story to make the World Championship. And last year in Dallas Empire, he also made 2 grand finals, top 3 at the World Championship. They could have beaten Toronto Ultra and even made the grand finals at last year's World Championship, right? So every year, Crimsix, doesn't matter really what his teammates are, he's going to be at a form of squad that's going to be competitive. We look back to Modern Warfare, of course, won the World Championship that year, and this is only in the post-CDL era. Pre-CDL, in the CWL, and even before, like the dominance is obviously way more than you guys see on screen right here. So that's the question I would ask really of some of these teams, to be honest, is because if you're one of these teams that's kind of in the boat where you're probably not going to make the World Championship with your team you're currently forming, like I think these teams are making a mistake to not consider Crimsix, because as I say, I don't really think it matters too much which players you put Crimsix with, and as long as they're talented enough, Crim will be able to, at least at 1 or 2 times in the season, be able to deliver results with these guys. Like, that's just how he's built, that's just what he does every single year. So I feel like some of these teams are settling for rosters that aren't going to achieve anything at all. Instead, they could try and get Crim and actually have more upside. Yes, you've got more downsides, but like, look, if I'm a general manager of a team, I'm not settling to be the 10th best team in the league and not even make champs. I'd much prefer to try and give it a go and actually try and achieve something with a bit more risk. And Crimsix has some thoughts on this, actually. He talks about some of these teams and says, yes, a lot of these teams that are being formed are absolutely terrible. He reckons probably he could improve a lot of these squads that these organizations are currently forming. Some of them have been locked in, some of them not yet, so we'll see in a second. But also going on to say that they kind of, well, what he does after he finishes competing, if this is it for him, because he's not going to do the challenger size, like maybe a coaching opportunity could be available. But he says, look, he would much prefer to even be a kindergarten teacher than go and coach the OpTic guys, for example.
Which brings me to my next topic. The teams this roster period are terrible. It is pathetic how bad some of these teams are. Because everyone who didn't play for stats got literally, like, you know what? Mohawk won 2 Challengers champs in a row and still not in the Pro League. I've already talked to a bunch of Challengers players that are done. They're quitting. Rockers, Attach, Bance, and Afro. Pfft. Bro, y'all people saying that, okay, that's a good team, all right? I see Cammy, right? I see Attach who killed to that spot. I see Bance, who's been inconsistent at best. And I see Afro, who's been really good in Vanguard. And that's it. There's that route. But I was also thinking about taking Rambo's job just out of, you know, out of my own pettiness.
Go to OpTic and be a coach, yeah.
I don't think, do you think they do that?
I've already got confirmation.
No, you did not, bro.
From the actual top G in the org.
No way.
Sender.
Astro.
I would rather live stream Solitaire for a year.
Yeah?
Dude, that is like, I would rather.
Really?
I would rather try to become a kindergarten teacher and teach 2+2s and crayon coloring books.
So let's consider what he said on the roster side then, right? This is Crone's article here from a few days ago. Thieves, OpTic, Surge. I don't really think he's talking about them necessarily because they stayed the same from last year. Minnesota, he had some thoughts on, right? I definitely don't agree with Crimsix's entire thought process here on Minnesota because he says that Afro was only good at Vanguard, whereas really I think even Afro was better at Cold War at the end of that game. But, still, I think Afro is better than Crimsix gives him credit for, but I understand what he thinks about the rest of the team. Bance a bit inconsistent maybe, not a huge slayer. Cammy needs to be Cold War level, and Attach, Crimsix doesn't really rate Attach, right? He thinks Attach just plays for kills, which also might be valid. So he's kind of saying that he's not convinced this Minnesota Rocket is as good as many are hoping it will be, especially given how likable that team is. Then Gorillas, he didn't really talk about them specifically, but I do think that he's kind of looking at some of these teams and thinking, well, that's not particularly good. FaZe obviously is FaZe. Toronto, he's looking at this and their SMGs and saying, Hicksy, Standy, maybe it's a new edit actually here from Crone saying that Standy is now going to be a likely starter instead of Hicksy. That's pretty interesting to consider. So maybe that's a new update that Crone just made to the article. But yeah, regardless, is this team like, okay, it's pretty good. Is it crazy good? I honestly kind of like the Stanley move here in fairness, but, is it crazy good? Maybe Crimsix is like, yeah, not really convinced. Boston, he's probably thinking, well, okay, they made the Awakening change probably, but it's not exactly spectacular. New York as well, he's probably looking at and saying, well, your Priest on this team, like, Hydra Skies, what's going on here? So, there's always these questions going around in Crimsix's mind thinking, well, New York probably downgraded maybe from when I was on the team last season because, yes, the team was a disaster for a majority of the year when Crim was there, but he got better results maybe than he would expect this team to get necessarily. And then Florida, he's probably thinking, what are Florida doing? Because Crim could be a potential target still for Florida. Even now there's talk about Havoc and Brack here. I guess this is some updates here from Crone on the latest roster that he's heard. So Major Maniac, Havoc, Vikal and Brack, it's just a weird team, right? And I'm sure Crim's like, what really are these lads playing at when they could be getting me in with some younger guys, Wardy Beans or whatever, and we could actually form a competitive squad. So it's interesting, right? I think that some of these teams, especially even London, I still don't really know what they're playing at. But at the same time, is this Crim just being salty that he hasn't got any offers, right? Which is, I suppose, the other way to look at it. And of course, you've got the Las Vegas situation as well. And he's also mentioning the fact that some of these guys that should be getting a spot that maybe Crim would like to team with is, they don't get opportunities, right? Gravity, for example, top 10 LAN KD player, he reckons last year, looking to represent someone. That's probably not going to happen this year. He might be on the bench again. Even Mohawk, right? Crimsix mentions after what he did in Challenge the last couple of years, he's not going to get a spot in the league. So saying that really these organizations are making terrible decisions compared to some of the players they're putting in the league. And even, I was going to mention a guy like Havoc because I wasn't sure where Havoc was going to go. Now it seems like maybe the Florida Mutineers going back there could be an option for him. But he was pretty damn good last season, right? And even teams aren't really considering his services that highly. Even Gunless, right? Like what he's done in his career, one of the best flex players I think theoretically that's still out there, unrestricted free agents. He's not being linked anywhere right now, which is kind of crazy to consider in my opinion. So I think Crim does have a point with some of these rosters, right? I do generally like what the top 6 teams have done, 6-7 teams, but outside of that, I'm really not convinced that some of these rosters in the lower half are any good. I think there still can be a good scrap for World Championship qualification, but I can pretty much say right now which teams I think are going to make champs and which aren't, and I'll probably be at least 75% accurate. The other piece, of course, then being if Crim does retire and is forced into that decision, I don't think he really wants to make this decision, but unless the opportunity arises for him, which it probably won't, which is pretty perfect to his needs. We've said, he wants to take care of his health and protect the relationship that he has with his wife and Dana and all this type of stuff as well, in addition to the potential, the money side of things also, and also just enjoying his life a bit more, maybe doing content. Those are some questions that Crim has got to answer. If he does get offered a chance to be a coach though, look, I don't think Crim's going to disappear from the scene. Yes, he might retire, but he's not just going to dip out of here and never comment on Call of Duty ever again, right? He's still going to be involved. Now, he did kind of mention the possibility, okay, could he just, steal Rambo's job over at the OpTic side and be their coach? But he was like, look, I would never coach those guys to be successful in my entire life. He'd prefer to do many other things rather than do that. But who knows, Crim as a coach in the future, Crim as a coach would be comedy, man. I'm sure we get an awful lot of value, but I feel like he needs someone alongside him to maybe temper Crim to a certain extent in a similarly haggy way, maybe you could say, as we saw earlier today. And just a few things to mention as we close out the video. I thought this is kind of funny, really. So the Breaking Point card comes out here for Kenny for the season. Of course, his numbers really over the course of the year don't even look that good, right? His numbers are pretty standard, really. 81 on the SMG, but the end of the season he was dominant, right? So that's kind of what he was saying in the replies. Yeah, I was laughing because it's just insane to me. Not mad at all. He knows full well how the first half of the season went. Just thought it was funny how dominant he feels like he was at the end of the year, and he was, of course, but still his numbers look like this because the first half was just so bad. And even I just wanted to mention this from Kismet on the New York side of things because, look at the record here, 17 and 8 from Kismet, so impressive stuff, of course, and he's not just got the dog in him, he's certainly got the hill time in him as well. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you were new as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.